I'm absolutely delighted that the teachers union in Alberta is prepared. I hope they'll go through with it to defy the law, the notwithstanding clause, which I think is very, very bad. It's one of the worst things about Canadian so-called democracy, that any constitutional right at some point can be overridden for particular reasons, and when it has a 5-year lease. This is wrong. You either have the right to strike or you don't. I remember growing up, you said, no, well, in the Soviet Union, I don't have a right to strike. But American workers have a right to strike. Already at that time, the right to strike was being somewhat curbed by the Taft-Hartley Act of forcing people to go back to work with an 80-day cooling off period. But that's nothing compared to outright saying you can't strike. And of course, what's behind it is the fact that people of Daniel Smith and her Alberta Conservatives' ilk is that they'll defend the rich oil barons to no end, and then they fight teachers, they fight health experts, they fight everyone who's trying to do something decent. Teachers get shit by right-wingers who are not in the classroom and don't know how much pressure teachers are under, not only to teach the curriculum, but to maintain a minimum of discipline. So what I'm saying may not be seen before this has resolved one way or the other. But I want to just say, congratulations. You can tell Daniel Smith and the overriding clause that they can go to hell and strike by all means. And that brings me to another area which is even greater, which is what's happening in the United States. And I salute Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, for bringing in the possibility of a national strike. I don't know whether enough Americans can, I don't know. I have my doubts about American commitment to liberty, in spite of what people have said across the generations. I hope I'm wrong. Certainly what's been happening recently is very, very encouraging. Whether it can lead to a strike or not, I don't know. But I think sometimes you just have to say, I've had fucking enough, enough of ICE, enough of the Gestapo police, enough of the attempt to gerrymander the elections so that my party gets seats that it doesn't deserve and the opposition loses seats that it does. And then reverting to Alberta, I just think it's great. I hope the teachers go through, and if there's any way I can help, I'm prepared to pay out of pocket to keep this going until they get a decent wage from a rotten, corrupt, conservative government.